I am going to hang myself, having already looped the noose. My mind sank into a hollow stillness, yet the noise outside burst into chaos and lit a fire in my chest. I leaned out and saw a car tearing through a street where cars were never allowed, and anger hit me hard. He stepped out and barked at the driver, only to find he was a new neighbor who knew nothing about the rules, so I ended up guiding him with a stiff face. He bumped the mailbox, and I reluctantly took the wheel, backed the car in cleanly, and walked away. I went back inside and tried to end things again, but a group of people suddenly appeared at the window across the street, and a little girl peeked out, freezing me in place, so I hid the rope to avoid scaring her. My plan fell apart once more, and I felt it was only the beginning. The next day I pulled the curtains tight, my chest heavy as stone, and slipped my head into the loop again. But the doorbell kept ringing. Frustration pressed against my ribs until I opened the door and found a child, and the fire in me faded. Her parents arrived with food and asked to borrow a ladder, and even though irritation weighed on me, I handed it over. Then the older woman across the way asked me to fix her heater, and it felt like everyone was standing in my way, pushing me closer to the edge. I went home and looked at my wife's photo, and the cold sorrow nearly crushed me. I set up the rope again, and this time the pressure closed in until my life unfolded like a long streak of light. I lost my mother young and grew up with a quiet father. I once stood on the tracks as a train roared toward me, and he shouted for the first time in his life, then held me tight for a long time. A love that never needed words, and the memory shook something inside me. When I grew up, he proudly showed off my grades, but he was struck by a train, leaving no space to breathe. Then a demolition officer burned down my house because I refused to move, and I slept in trains while working on the tracks. Life dropped me into the mud, and that was when I met the warmest light. She wore red heels, bright red lips, blue eyes like the sky, and a smile with a tiny gap that felt angelic. As I got off the bus, she handed me the bag I had left behind, and even I knew my heart shifted. I rode the same train every day for 3 weeks until I saw her again. On our first date, I was awkward and talked only about cars, and when she asked why I didn't order anything, I said I already ate, hiding the fact that I could only afford one meal. Shame pushed me to leave, but she kissed me, and for a moment, I believed a true miracle had found me. That memory pulled me back from the edge, but reality stayed ruthless because the rope snapped, and I survived again, as if fate waited for my next collapse. I tried another way and went to the older woman's home for a hose and fixed her heater while I was there. Her friend, a man I once knew, sat silently after a stroke. I spoke to him when no one was around, saying the world was growing colder and I would soon be gone. The woman later told me he heard everything, and as I turned to leave, he held onto the hose in a quiet plea that tightened my chest. I walked away and went home to start my 5th attempt, and fate seemed ready to twist everything again, as my plan was just beginning.